Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss about binomial probability distribution. X successes is part of the binomial distribution. Wherever there is two possible outcomes of any experience, we call it binomial. For example, if lights, we take lights as an example. There are two options for lights, either on or off. We can turn on the lights or we can turn off the lights. So two possible outcomes is giving us the binomial distribution. The formula for binomial probability is nx, probability of x, q n minus x, or we can say that n x n minus x and p x q n minus x. So here we go. N is basically the number of observations. By that we mean that number of times something occurred in a range or in some sort of data. Then they have p. P is basically the probability of success or failures. That number of times a thing can be under the title of success or under the title of failure. Then there is x. X is the number of successes, or we can also say number of observations to the x, but to keep it precise, we're keeping this n as number of observations. Then, as we can see, to find q, what we do is we minus n, we minus p out of q. P is basically the probability, so we minus p from 1 to find q, to get q, not q. Then there is another concept that I would like to highlight, which is NPR or NCR. This formula is used when we have so much data. For example, if you want to find out 6 by 2, so we can get 36. But if you want to find out 6 by 3, it's 216. How can we find data out of this big amount? So we finally put NCR as a formula. We put this data in this to find our solutions to the probabilities. And always remember that the probability can never be negative. Probability can never be negative. Then I would like to highlight some other formulas. For example, to find mean of binomial distribution, we simply put mean equals to NP, n into p. Whatever the value n has, we multiply it into the value of p to get mean. Another formula is variance of binomial distribution. Variance of binomial distribution can be found by putting the formula variance x. We are assuming x equals to n, q, p. We are multiplying all three to get variance of the binomial distribution. Then for standard deviation is another concept. It is when we take square root of anything. Take a square root of the formula what we have wherever we have applied it. So for example, if I get answer of this binomial variance, whatever the answer we get from this variance, we will take square root of that variance to get the standard deviation.